Everyone dreams of excelling in something, but when self-assurance turns into arrogance and disregard for others, life has a way of teaching a lesson. True strength comes from humility, recognizing that there's always someone better out there. My name is Mina, and I've been married to my husband, Thomas, for 2 years. Before we got married, Thomas gave me a heads up about his sister, describing her as difficult and warning that she might be a source of trouble. As an only child, I was thrilled at the idea of gaining a sister, but his words made me curious, and a little anxious, about what kind of challenges she might bring. I grew up in a relatively affluent family, with my father running a mid-sized trading company. He had a progressive mindset and always respected my choices, allowing me to explore my interests freely. The 2008 Lehman Brothers collapse captured my attention. Seeing how it shook the world, especially Japan, fascinated me. The way financial disruptions could send ripples across the globe sparked my curiosity about the flow of money and financial systems. With a natural curiosity and a sharp mind, I took an IQ test and scored well above average. In middle and high school, I delved deeper into economics and finance, eventually choosing a major in college that aligned with my passion. As I gained more knowledge, I wanted to put my learning into practice. That's when I discovered day trading. A professor encouraged me, calling it an excellent way to understand capital flow in real time. Knowing the risks, I spent a lot of time researching before carefully selecting stocks based on statistical probabilities. Using money I had saved from allowances, I started small, buying and selling shares within the same day to maximize short-term gains. My predictions proved accurate, and although my profits were modest at first, I steadily grew my investments by reinvesting wisely. In just a year, I had multiplied my initial investment by over 50 times. While the total sum wasn't enormous, what truly mattered to me was confirming that my research and calculations were correct. During a university seminar, I met Thomas, a student known for his sharp analytical skills. We clicked instantly, bonding over shared perspectives. After graduation, I had planned to join my father's company, but Thomas suggested another path. He had found an opportunity at a foreign investment firm and encouraged me to consider it. On the day of our graduation ceremony, after celebrating, Thomas confessed his feelings for me. Without hesitation, I said yes. His intelligence reassured me, and his understanding nature made me feel comfortable. As we both stepped into our careers, we grew even closer. Inspired by my father's trading business, I focused on analyzing foreign companies to gain leverage in negotiations. Thomas, with his keen eye for investments, quickly made a name for himself and his company. Despite our demanding schedules, we always made time for each other, going on refreshing dates before diving back into work. Over 5 years, we became each other's rock, a partnership built on trust and mutual support. Feeling secure in our relationship, Thomas proposed. He wanted to spend his life with me, and I eagerly said yes. However, before our wedding, Thomas brought up his sister, Alice. Alice, 2 years younger than him, had a strong competitive streak. Despite Thomas being regarded as a prodigy, Alice always looked down on him, convinced she was superior. She even joined a rival investment and consulting firm to compete with him directly. Thomas suspected that our engagement would challenge her pride, fueling her desire to prove herself. She had no close friends or romantic relationships, appearing confident but hiding deep-seated insecurities. He worried about how she would react, but I tried to reassure him with a casual "it'll be fine." Still, his concern only made me more intrigued. When I finally met Alice at a family gathering, her sharp features and intelligence were undeniable, but there was also a coldness to her. Whether that was just her nature or my own bias, I couldn't tell. Thomas's parents, on the other hand, were warm and welcoming, making me feel at ease, but Alice barely spoke throughout the meal, silently watching me as if she were sizing me up. As everyone was leaving, she pulled me aside. She made it clear that she wasn't impressed. She assumed I was just a spoiled girl who landed an easy job at my father's company and dismissed me as unremarkable. She boasted about her financial expertise, claiming she handled large transactions and made massive profits, far beyond anything I could ever achieve. In her eyes, Thomas settling for someone like me was a disappointment. Her final remark was that if she gained anything from today, it was the realization of how inferior I was to her. I was stunned into silence as she walked away. Thomas soon returned. Noticing I hadn't left with Alice, concerned, he asked if everything was all right. I brushed it off with a laugh, telling him it was nothing. But in the back of my mind, I wondered how our next meeting would go, especially at the wedding. Strangely, instead of feeling intimidated, I felt a sense of anticipation. This was going to be interesting. When our wedding day arrived, it was a grand celebration filled with family, friends, and colleagues. We exchanged vows, promising to stand by each other forever. But Alice, she was visibly irritated from the moment she arrived. Thomas had mentioned before that Alice had neither close friends nor a romantic partner. I could somewhat understand her emotions. During a brief wardrobe change, as I waited for the staff to assist me, Alice walked in. Out of nowhere, she made a snide remark, claiming my happiness was temporary. She predicted that, as an ordinary woman, I wouldn't hold the spotlight after the wedding and would simply rely on Thomas's income. Unbothered, I found it strange that anyone could find satisfaction in such thoughts. She then declared her intention to rise even higher on her own, aiming for someone superior to Thomas for an even grander wedding. Without allowing me a chance to respond, Alice left with a self-satisfied smirk. Just as she exited, the staff entered, and I couldn't help but laugh at the timing. Apologizing to the confused crew, I started changing, realizing that Alice always had a way of stirring things up. Since the wedding, I hadn't been in contact with Alice. I assumed we would cross paths at Christmas while visiting my in-laws, but fate had other plans. Our next encounter happened much sooner than expected. My father decided to bring in an external consulting firm to help with asset preservation and company expansion. Though I offered to handle it, he preferred to rely on outside expertise, selecting a particular firm. When I heard the name of the consulting company during negotiations, a flicker of familiarity struck me, but I couldn't immediately place it. To my surprise, Alice was among the representatives. We exchanged startled glances, but silently agreed to act as if we were meeting for the first time, keeping our sister-in-law connection a secret from her colleagues. Later, when I discussed this with Thomas, he was already aware and suggested I withdraw from the project. However, I found the situation too amusing to step away. Despite my amusement, I maintained professionalism in negotiations. I pointed out flaws in their proposal with logical reasoning, leaving their team unsettled. Alice attempted to counter with past examples and mathematical data, but my responses exposed the weak points, leaving them at a loss for words. The meeting ended in my favor, with their team agreeing to revise their proposal for the next discussion. As I enjoyed a post-meeting coffee, my phone rang. It was Alice. She acknowledged my victory but insisted that someone as exceptional as her couldn't be bested by me. With a parting remark about not needing advice from someone like me, she hung up. I couldn't help but burst into laughter, drawing curious looks from my colleagues. From then on, I took full control of the meetings. Alice's team often struggled to counter my points, and though Alice attempted rebuttals, she repeatedly fell short, her frustration becoming evident. When I shared this with Thomas, he revealed that Alice had never been outperformed before. He also mentioned that she had recently been rejected from a prestigious project, further aggravating her irritation. I stifled a chuckle, surprised by the turn of events. As the consulting project successfully concluded, their team leader thanked us, expressing how much they had learned. Once everyone dispersed, Alice and I were left alone. Unwilling to accept defeat, she declared, "I'm not satisfied with how things turned out. Next time, I'll make sure to surpass you. Just so you know, I am more talented." She then boasted about her recent success as an investor, announcing that she had purchased a luxurious tower mansion, something only someone of her caliber could afford. Later, Thomas confirmed that Alice had indeed gained success as an investor and had bought a tower mansion for herself. While I acknowledged her talent and achievements, I sincerely wanted to congratulate her. A few days later, over the weekend, I happened to visit a tower mansion for business. As I arrived at a mid-level floor, a door opened, and a familiar face stepped out. It was Alice. Startled, we both blurted out our surprise. She immediately questioned, "Why are you here? If you're not on the guest list, did you come to clean?" It seemed today was the day of her celebrity-studded home party. "Not at all," I replied. "I'm here to deliver something to an acquaintance on this floor." Skeptical, she asked, "You know someone here? And where did you come down from?" I turned the question back on her. Alice scoffed, "Well, obviously, I live on the top floor. I had to come down." I reminded her that she and Thomas had always lived in a single-story home since he disliked heights. At that moment, Alice revealed that the tower mansion was actually her office and workshop. As our argument grew louder, a voice behind us interrupted. Alice, what's going on? Alice turned and addressed the woman. Sorry, senior. 3 other women observed us with curiosity. I apologize for not greeting you earlier, Alice added. I was just dealing with a. But before she could finish, the woman, recognizing me, suddenly exclaimed, Wait, aren't you Maya? Alice's expression shifted to confusion. The woman explained, Alice, don't you know? This is Mrs. Mia, our new external board director. She's also known as the investment goddess, the very person you admire. Alice stood, frozen in disbelief. The senior continued, she also holds a significant share of your company, which is why she became a board director. Alice was completely floored by this revelation. The senior then added, while Alice is undoubtedly talented, she has a poor reputation regarding teamwork and her attitude toward colleagues. If she doesn't improve, she won't be able to maintain her current position. Reality hit Alice hard. She knelt down, overwhelmed by the unexpected turn of events. Later, Thomas joked that the once fierce wolf had turned into a docile pup. It seemed Alice had finally realized that there was always someone above her. Looking back, I felt slightly guilty for finding amusement in the whole situation. Alice served as a lesson to me, never underestimate anyone and always treat others with respect. Thomas apologized for not being more involved in these events, but it wasn't his responsibility. His concern only made me love him more. Now, my biggest hope is to start a family with Thomas soon. I can't wait to experience life as a family of 3. If Alice changes her perspective and opens her heart, she'll surely find good friends and a great partner one day. One night, I dream of a family of 3, but by the end of the next year, it turned into a family of 5, triplets straight from the Cabbage Patch. I woke up sweating but couldn't help laughing at the absurdity. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Stay tuned.